Welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching me and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss new videos. I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these posts, but here I am. 35 years old, married for 8 years to a woman I thought I knew. We'll call her Lisa, and no, that's not her real name, but it fits. You'll understand why in a minute. If you've ever looked at the Mona Lisa painting, you know that weird, smug little smile? That's the one she had when I proposed. I used to think it was sweet. In hindsight, it was more like a warning. Lisa and I met at work. I was in IT. She was in marketing, classic combo. She was quick-witted, sarcastic in a way that made you feel like you were in on the joke, and honestly, stunning. I fell hard. And for a while, it was good. Like really good. We traveled, renovated a house together, had a shared playlist, inside jokes, all the Pinterest couple crap. But about 6 months ago, something shifted. She started smiling like she was in a different room than me, like I wasn't part of whatever joke she was telling herself. And yeah, that smile, it wasn't the same. It was Mona Lisa's damn smirk. Mysterious, detached, distant. At first, I chalked it up to stress. She'd just gotten a promotion. Longer hours, more meetings. She said she was exhausted, that she needed space sometimes. Fair enough. I backed off. I started cooking more, cleaning, giving her those nights where she could just decompress. But then, things got weird. She started sleeping with her phone under her pillow. Notifications off. Always smiling at texts, but never mentioning who they were from. Started saying she was going to yoga classes twice a day. Twice a day. When she hadn't rolled out a yoga mat in our house since 2021. That's when the itch started. You know what I mean? That mental itch that something's not right. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband checking phones and setting up cameras. I still had trust. Or maybe I was just trying to hang on to the illusion of it. But deep down, I knew something was off. This is the beginning of the unraveling. Part 2 is how I found the first real clue. And no, it wasn't a lipstick stain or hotel receipt. It was something weirder. So like I said, I'd been noticing weird changes in Lisa. The smiles, the yoga, the phone always clutched to her side like it had state secrets. But the real turning point, the first real clue, came one weekend when she went on one of her wellness retreats. I stayed home. Figured I'd use the time to finish a shelf I'd been putting off in the garage and maybe get some work done. Lisa was supposedly off-grid for 2 days, no signal, disconnecting from digital toxicity, whatever that meant. Saturday night, I was reorganizing the spare room, the one we used mostly for junk. That's when I noticed the painting. It was propped behind a bunch of boxes, half wrapped in brown paper, like someone tried to hide it but got lazy. It was a replica of the Mona Lisa. No joke. Framed. Almost museum quality. The weird part? Lisa hates that painting. I remember asking her once why she never wanted to visit the Louvre when we were in Paris, and she said, "I don't want to stare at some smug dead lady who looks like she knows your bank password." I pulled it out, confused. Flipped it over, thinking maybe it was a gift or something. And taped to the back, tucked between the backing and frame, was a folded note. It just said, Thursday, 8 p.m. Same spot. Wear red. That's it. No name. No signature. Just that, in handwriting I knew wasn't mine, and definitely wasn't Lisa's. Hers is neat, bubbly. This was rushed, slanted. And the paper smelled faintly like cologne. Not hers. Not mine either. My stomach dropped. You ever get that feeling where your body knows before your brain lets it in? That was me, standing there holding a painting like I'd just found a cursed object. I sat on the floor for a long time, just processing, telling myself maybe it was nothing. Maybe she was planning some weird surprise. But it didn't feel right. Nothing about it did. And here's the kicker. That Thursday had been last Thursday. She told me she was at yoga, in red leggings. I'll be honest, I didn't sleep that night. I just kept looking at the note, the painting, trying to connect dots I didn't even have yet. The next morning, I made a plan. Thanks to everyone who's following this wild ride. Here's part 3. After finding that Mona Lisa painting and the creepy note taped to the back, something in me snapped. You know that moment when your gut stops whispering and starts screaming? That was me, staring at the proof that my wife, the woman I trusted with everything, was lying to my face. I didn't confront her right away. I wasn't ready. I needed more. One note wasn't enough. If I blew up too soon, she'd just lie again. She's good at that. Like, Oscar-worthy good. The kind of woman who can say, "I love you," while texting another man about his apps. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So, I played dumb. That weekend, Lisa came back from her retreat, smelling like hotel shampoo and with a sunburn she couldn't explain. Outdoor yoga, she said. Intense. Yeah, okay. I acted normal. We even had dinner together. I asked about her trip, and she went into this whole speech about cleansing rituals and group meditation. She dropped the word chakra 7 times in 15 minutes. I nodded, chewed my pasta, and said, "Sounds amazing, babe." Inside, I was boiling. That night, while she was in the shower, I finally did something I'd never done in our marriage. I looked through her phone. And guess what? Nothing. Totally clean. No texts, no pics, no suspicious apps. If anything, it was too clean. She'd clearly been deleting stuff. Everything, even old messages from her mom. Who deletes those? But I noticed one thing she forgot, the recently deleted folder. And there they were. Dozens of texts. From someone saved as geo-frame picture. That emoji, by the way? A frame picture. Like a painting. My stomach dropped again. And the texts? Last Thursday was fire. You in red, damn. You think he suspects anything? Can't wait to see you again. My little Mona Lisa. I nearly threw the phone across the room. She was cheating. And not just emotionally. This was full-blown, hotel sheet wrinkling, red dress wearing betrayal. And this Geo guy? He had a nickname for her. My wife. Mona Lisa. I couldn't make this up if I tried. When she came out of the shower, towel on her head, humming like nothing was wrong, I was sitting on the edge of the bed with her phone in my hand. I said, real calm, "Hey Lisa, who's Geo?" Her face froze. And then? She smiled. That same smug-ass Mona Lisa smirk. All right, welcome back to the emotional demolition of my marriage. So I'm sitting on the bed, holding her phone, and I ask, "Who's Geo?" Lisa doesn't flinch, doesn't gasp, doesn't even blink. She just smiles. That same twisted Mona Lisa smirk like she's the main character in a soap opera and I'm the dumb husband who wandered in from a commercial break. Then she says, and I swear to God this is real. "Oh, you found that? It's not what you think." Of course it isn't. It never is, right? I said, "You mean the text where Geo says last Thursday was fire and calls you his little Mona Lisa? What exactly is that, Lisa? A Renaissance-themed book club?" She laughed. Like I just made a dad joke. And then she hit me with the most batted explanation I've ever heard. Okay, listen. Geo is part of this art therapy thing I've been doing. It's creative expression. We roleplay to heal past wounds. Roleplay. I said. So when he said he couldn't wait to see you again and asked if I suspect anything, that was part of your healing arc? She rolled her eyes like I was the irrational one. Said I was being paranoid, controlling. That I was twisting things. That Geo was gay, actually. And Italian. And overly affectionate. Gay. Italian. Overly affectionate. Like she was describing a poodle. I didn't say anything right away. My heart was doing backflips and my head felt like it was stuffed with static. But I needed her to keep talking. I needed the full version of the lie. So I asked, "So where were you last Thursday?" She said, "At a studio downtown. We did a painting workshop. That's why I smelled like oils and stuff when I got home." And you know what? She almost had me. For a second, I wondered if maybe I had jumped to conclusions. Maybe she was being dramatic, not unfaithful. Maybe Geo was a drama queen art therapist who called everyone my Mona Lisa. But then I remembered something. I had checked her location history on Google earlier that day. She wasn't at any art studio. She was at the goddamn Marriott. Same spot Geo had mentioned in the note. That's when something in me broke. Not like a snap, more like a slow, dragging tear inside my chest. I looked at her, sitting there in her robe, lying to my face like she'd done it 1,000 times, and all I could think was, who is this woman? Because it sure as hell wasn't the person I married. If you thought her gay Italian art therapist excuse was the peak of insanity, hold on. We're still climbing. So after Lisa gave me her Oscar-winning performance about paintbrushes and role-playing for emotional healing, I didn't say much. I nodded, said I needed time to process. What I really needed was to get the hell away from her before I screamed into a couch cushion. The next morning, I drove to the Marriott. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe to confirm her lie was a lie. Maybe to find her name nowhere in the system and feel like an idiot. But no, life's never that kind. I walked up to the front desk, casual, polite, like I was asking about a lost umbrella. "Hey," I said, "I think my wife stayed here last Thursday night. She said she forgot something in the room. Can you check under the name Lisa M?" The woman behind the desk tapped a few keys, then looked up with a smile. Yes, she stayed in room 614. Checked in Thursday at 7:48 p.m. Checked out Friday morning. Boom. There it was. Like a punch to the gut. My throat went dry. I asked, was she alone? And bless this woman, she hesitated. I'm not at liberty to say, sir. So I leaned in and whispered, I think she's cheating on me. Just give me a yes or no. Was anyone else with her? She paused, lowered her voice, and said she had a guest. Checked in separately. Male. That was it. Confirmation. No more guessing. No more trying to believe in magical gay art therapists. No more giving her the benefit of the doubt when she'd cashed out that account long ago. I walked out of that hotel feeling like I'd swallowed broken glass. I sat in my car, stared at the steering wheel, and cried like a damn child. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just that quiet, helpless kind of crying that leaks out of you when the truth finally finishes carving you up inside. I gave this woman years of my life. Trusted her with everything. Hell, I defended her when people called her cold, said she had walls. I thought she was misunderstood. No, she was just hiding something. Or maybe hiding someone. I didn't go home right away. I went to a bar, ordered the cheapest whiskey they had, and stared at my phone for an hour, trying to decide what to do next. I texted her. How was the studio on Thursday? No reply. Hope your chakras are still aligned. Still nothing. Then I just sent one more. I went to the Marriott. Room 614. The front desk knows your name. She didn't answer that one either. But when I got home that night, she was already there. Sitting in the dark. Waiting. You ever walk into your own house and feel like you just entered someone else's crime scene? That's what it felt like. The place was dark, except for one lamp on in the living room, that low yellow light that makes everything look tense. Lisa was sitting on the couch, legs crossed, arms folded, staring at the blank TV screen like it had wronged her personally. Didn't even look at me when I came in. I closed the door slowly, trying to hold my voice steady. So, room 614? She didn't flinch. Not even a blink. Then she said, and this is word for word. I can explain, but you have to let me finish before you say anything. Oh boy. Buckle up for another round of performance art. I didn't sit down. Just stood there like a statue while she launched into what I guess she thought was a redemption arc. She said Gio was an old friend she reconnected with through a healing community. I said, that sounds like a cult or an orgy, Lisa. She didn't laugh. Kept her tone all serious, trying to sell it like a TED Talk. Then she dropped the line that made my stomach turn. It was only emotional at first. I swear. It didn't get physical until recently. That right there? That's how cheaters do it. They try to soften the betrayal by acting like there was a long ramp up. Like saying it didn't start physical is supposed to make me feel better? So I asked her, how many times? She looked away and whispered, twice. Which I knew was a lie. Because I already had 3 different Thursdays tracked, plus texts that hinted at more. But I wanted to see what else she'd say if I let her spin. She said they didn't mean to fall for each other. That it just happened. That she felt unseen in our marriage. That Gio made her feel alive. 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 Like I'm some kind of emotional embalmer just dragging her through domestic purgatory while Gio the Great Liberator teaches her how to feel again. I said, so what was I doing for the last 7 years? Keeping the lights on while you auditioned for better options? Her eyes welled up, and I swear, I think that was the first genuine emotion I saw all night. But I didn't care anymore. I told her, flat out, you lied to me. Repeatedly. You had sex with someone else. You let me believe everything was fine while I bent over backward to support you. And now you want me to what? Forgive you because you felt lonely? She said, I didn't want to hurt you. I said, then why did you? Dead silence. And then the bombshell. Because I thought you were cheating too. Excuse me? Now she was trying to flip it on me. Apparently, she convinced herself I was getting too close to a female coworker, someone I literally helped train last year, and decided to even the scales. Never mind that I'd never touched, flirted, or even texted that woman outside of work hours. It wasn't about what I did. It was about what Lisa needed to justify what she did. I didn't yell. I just walked out of the room and said, we're done here. She followed me, saying, please, don't leave. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll block him. I'll do anything. I stopped at the door and said, you already did everything. All right. Strap in. After I walked out of the living room and told her, you already did everything, I headed straight to the guest bedroom. That's where I crashed for the night. Not because I couldn't leave, But because I was too wired to drive and too numb to feel anything, I just needed space. She knocked twice on the door around midnight. I ignored it. I locked it. The next morning, she was gone. I actually felt relief. Like that toxic cloud had finally cleared. I made coffee, sat on the patio, and for the first time in days, maybe weeks, I could actually breathe. Then I remembered something. We had a safe. It wasn't hidden or anything, just a cheap Home Depot one in the back of the closet. We used it for passports, the title to the car, some cash we agreed we'd never touch except for emergencies. That kind of thing. I don't know what made me check it. Maybe it was just instinct. Maybe some tiny voice in my head was like, hey, might want to make sure she didn't wipe out your life savings. So I opened it. Guess what wasn't there? My passport. The emergency cash. The spare key to my late grandfather's old truck that she never liked me keeping. And weird. Picking up where I left off. I'm standing there in front of the safe, door open, heart pounding like a jackhammer. The emergency cash? Gone. My passport? Gone. The truck key? Gone. But the weirdest part? There was a painting inside. Not a framed photo. Not a certificate or document. A small canvas painting. Wrapped in brown paper, barely tied with string. I wouldn't have even noticed it if I hadn't moved one of the folders. It was tucked behind a stack of old tax returns. Now, before you ask, we don't collect art. Never have. And this thing? It was weird. When I unwrapped it, I nearly laughed. It was a replica of the Mona Lisa. Like a small, 12 by 16 version. Same smile, same background, but off. Her eyes were wrong. Too wide. Like she was watching you. But in that way dogs stare when you're eating something they can't have. Here's the kicker. We've never owned this thing. Not even close. I would remember if my wife had hidden her creepy dollar store Da Vinci in our closet safe. At first, I thought maybe she bought it recently. Maybe Gio was an art freak and she picked this up to impress him. But why hide it? Why wrap it up like it was a gift? And then it hit me. She said he was an art therapist. This was probably his. Or for him. Or worse, from him. Some secret little love token. But why put that in the safe? That's when the paranoia kicked in. I started checking everything. Our shared account? She transferred $2,800 to a consulting firm 2 weeks ago. When I Googled it, nothing came up. Just an empty landing page with a logo and no services listed. I called the number. It rang once. Disconnected. The whole morning turned into a spiral. I checked her email. Nothing but yoga class confirmations and spam. Her laptop was still on the dining table, locked with a new password. She hadn't changed it in years. Now suddenly I needed a code? So yeah, something bigger was happening. The affair? That was the symptom. The painting, the money, the fake company? That was a plot. At this point, I started thinking, is Gio even his real name? Or is Gio just what she saved him as in her phone to throw me off? That night, she came back. Walked in like nothing was wrong, holding a green smoothie and a yoga mat. Hair in a bun. Sunglasses. Totally casual. I asked, where's my passport? She blinked. What? My passport. The cash. The truck key. The painting. What the hell is going on, Lisa? She froze. And then, I swear to you, smiled. You weren't supposed to find that yet. What the hell? So, where were we? Oh yeah. My wife, Lisa, just walked back into the house after 3 days of ghosting me, sipping her overpriced green sludge like she's Gwyneth Paltrow reincarnated. And when I confront her about the weird Mona Lisa knockoff and missing stuff from the safe, she smiles and goes, you weren't supposed to find that yet. That one sentence had more menace in it than if she'd pulled a knife. I stood there blinking like an idiot. Excuse me. She shrugs, drops her mat by the door, takes another sip. It was going to be a surprise. A surprise? What kind of surprise involves stealing my passport and hiding creepy art in a safe? And this is where it went from soap opera to full-blown Netflix docuseries. She sits down, crosses her legs like we're in a therapy session, and starts this story like I'm supposed to be moved by it. Apparently, Gio isn't just her yoga guy. He's an emotional consciousness coach, whatever the hell that means. And according to Lisa, he's helping her reclaim her suppressed artistic identity. Her words, not mine. The Mona Lisa replica? She says it's a symbol, a representation of the mask she wore for the last 5 years of marriage. Supposedly, she was going to present it to me on our anniversary, which was in 3 weeks, along with a speech about rebirth and transformation. A speech, not a conversation, not therapy, not divorce. A goddamn one-woman performance piece with a stolen passport and a painting that looks like it belongs in a cursed attic. I asked again, point blank, "Why is my name on that consulting firm wire transfer?" She laughs. Not nervously, not guiltily, just laughs. "It was a spiritual service. You wouldn't understand." I said, "Try me." And get this, she paid Gio and 2 other people, apparently, to create what she calls the reclamation experience. It's like an emotional spa treatment mixed with improv theater and light hypnosis. She says it was going to involve me being blindfolded and led through a guided ceremony to release her past self. I'm not kidding. I actually had to sit down. "You mean to tell me you were going to blindfold me, hand me a painting of a haunted Mona Lisa, and then what, Lisa? Announce your affair?" And she goes, "Not announce. Reveal. There's a difference. Y'all." She wanted to cheat on me, hide it, and then reveal it like a magician pulling a dove from her bra while chanting about spiritual awakening. I wish I was joking. I wish I was exaggerating. I truly, deeply do. I asked her why the safe was empty. Her answer? "I needed to protect certain things from your reaction. I wasn't sure how evolved you were." I don't know what kind of mushroom tea she's been drinking, but in that moment, I saw her for exactly what she was, a manipulative narcissist with a paintbrush and a guru fetish. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I stood up, walked past her, and calmly said, "You have 48 hours to put my passport and property back in the safe, or I report everything is stolen. And if you think this is some spiritual rebirth story, then congratulations. You're about to be reborn as single." She didn't even flinch, just closed her eyes and said, "You're resisting your higher self. Lady, I'm resisting the urge to throw your cult painting into a bonfire." Okay, buckle up because this just keeps getting weirder. After that insane higher self comment, I knew Lisa was living in some parallel universe where she's the star of her own spiritual reality show. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to laugh or call 911. Anyway, I decided it was time to get serious. So I did 2 things. Called a lawyer. Dug deeper into that painting. First, the lawyer. I figured if she was disappearing with my passport and valuables, I needed a legal plan. The lawyer was great, calm, practical, and said, "You're doing the right thing by documenting everything." She told me to get any evidence of missing property, suspicious transfers, and, most importantly, anything linking this Gio guy to my wife. That's when I remembered something odd during the confrontation. When Lisa left the house that morning, she dropped her phone. I grabbed it. It wasn't her main phone, it was a burner. I started digging through it. And holy crap, there were texts between Lisa and Gio that were, frankly, worse than I expected. Nothing explicit, but plans. Plans to get her out of the cage and something called the final release. It was like a cult initiation script. Then, on the back of that creepy Mona Lisa painting, a tiny, folded note taped inside the frame. I almost missed it. I unfolded it carefully, and it said, "The truth is in the smile." What the hell? I started searching online for that phrase, and guess what popped up? A little-known art theory about how the Mona Lisa's smile supposedly hides a secret message, a cryptic message revealing betrayal and hidden lives. That hit me like a punch to the gut. Lisa knew what she was doing. This wasn't just some midlife crisis or fling. This was premeditated, theatrical, and deeply manipulative. I'm still processing all this. I haven't told the lawyer about the note yet. Don't want to sound crazy. But I do know one thing. The Mona Lisa mystery isn't just about infidelity. It's about lies, secrets, and a wife who wasn't who I thought she was. All right. So after discovering the burner phone with those creepy texts and the mysterious note behind the Mona Lisa painting, I knew I had to confront Lisa for real. No more half-assed questions or her dodging like a pro. I arranged to meet her at a neutral spot, a quiet coffee shop halfway between our places. I told her it was serious and to bring her truth. When she arrived, she was exactly the same Lisa. Hair perfectly done, a little too much makeup for 10 a.m., and that fake calm I'd come to despise. I slid the burner phone across the table and said, "Care to explain this?" She didn't blink. Instead, she grabbed it, swiped through the texts, and said with a smirk, "I was trying to protect you from the truth. You wouldn't have handled it." I told her, "Try me." Her explanation? Gio was more than just a coach. He was someone who opened her eyes to her real desires and true potential. According to her, She was awakening and needed to break free from the chains of our marriage. I laughed, because how else do you respond when your wife says you're a chain and she's the liberated spirit? Then she dropped the bombshell. The affair wasn't just physical, it was emotional and spiritual. She claimed I never really saw her, that she had been performing for years, and this was her true self emerging. I looked at her and said, "You lied to me every step of the way. The safe, the money, the painting, all part of this performance? Or just to cover your ass?" She shrugged like it was no big deal. Then she got bitchy. "Maybe if you weren't so boring, I wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere." That cut deeper than I expected. Not because I believed her, but because I realized she was that cruel. I told her, "This ends here. I'm done playing the fool in your little drama." She smiled again, Mona Lisa style, and said, "You'll come around." They always do. Spoiler alert, I'm not coming around. So, after that confrontation where Lisa basically doubled down on her lies and manipulations, I thought I'd feel relief. Like finally getting some closure. Nope. Instead, I was hit by a tidal wave of emotions that I wasn't prepared for. At first, there was rage. Hot, blinding, volcanic anger. How dare she? How could she spin all of this like I was the villain, the boring one who never saw her? I stormed through the house like a man possessed, pacing, yelling at the Mona Lisa painting like it was mocking me. I smashed a glass accidentally. I wanted to call her every terrible name in the book. Then, the anger faded. It was replaced by hurt, deep, aching sadness. The kind that sits heavy in your chest and won't let you breathe. All those years. The trust. The plans. The laughter. Suddenly it was just a theater act for her. I caught myself crying one night in the dark, just whispering, "Why?" I know, real manly, right? But it was real. Because betrayal is brutal. I also felt confused. I kept replaying every moment, every weird behavior, every lie. How did I miss it? Was I really so blind? Then came acceptance. Not the happy kind, but the cold, hard truth that this woman, the wife I thought I knew, was gone. It felt like losing a part of myself. Like my world had tilted and would never balance the same way again. But acceptance meant one thing. I could start figuring out what I wanted now. All right, so after the emotional hurricane hit me hard, rage, sadness, confusion, and then that cold acceptance, I had to decide what to do next. Stick it out and try to fix this mess? Or walk away and start fresh? Honestly, part of me wanted to fight. I thought maybe therapy, couples counseling, something to salvage what we had. I mean, 5 years isn't nothing, right? Plus, we had a whole life tangled together, bills, friends, routines. But then I remembered the Mona Lisa painting and that smirk she gave me during our last confrontation. The way she twisted everything into some spiritual awakening drama. And how easily she lied about everything. Could I trust her again? Hell no. I started talking to close friends, the lawyer, even some strangers on this subreddit. Everyone echoed the same thing. Trust is the foundation, and once it's cracked like that, the house collapses. I thought about the emotional drain, the mental gymnastics I'd have to do pretending everything's okay, when every Mona Lisa smile in the house would remind me of betrayal. So, I chose to walk away. Not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but because I deserve better. I deserve honesty and respect, not some performance art about release and higher selves. I filed for separation, started getting my affairs in order, and set strict boundaries. It's painful, yes, but also liberating. I'm learning that sometimes the bravest thing is knowing when to let go. So here I am, months after making the decision to walk away from Lisa and that whole twisted drama. Honestly, it's been a roller coaster. The loneliness hit hard. I mean, I went from sharing my life every day with someone to silence. The house felt empty, the Mona Lisa painting still hanging on the wall, staring with that same cryptic smile. It was like a ghost reminding me of everything I lost. But I also found something unexpected: support. Friends I hadn't talked to in years stepped up. Strangers here on Reddit shared their stories and advice that made me feel less alone. Therapy helped me untangle the mess inside my head. Slowly, I started rebuilding my identity outside of husband and victim. I even started painting again, something I hadn't done since college. Weirdly, it's become my therapy, a way to process the chaos Lisa left behind. But sometimes, the mystery still haunts me. What was her true motive? Was Gio real or just part of her lies? Did she ever really love me, or was it all a con? I may never know. And maybe that's the real Mona Lisa mystery. Some smiles hide secrets we're never meant to fully understand. Here we are, the final chapter of this wild ride. I never imagined my marriage would unravel like a Da Vinci Code. But here we are. What did I learn from all this? First, trust is everything. Once it's broken, you can try to rebuild, but the cracks will always show. Don't ignore those little red flags, the weird excuses, the odd behavior, the lies hidden behind a smile. Second, don't lose yourself trying to hold on to something toxic. I spent months feeling angry, sad, confused, but I finally realized my peace mattered most. Walking away wasn't defeat. It was self-respect. Third, people change or reveal who they really are, and sometimes that person isn't who you thought they were. It's painful, but it's better to see the truth than live a lie. And lastly, don't be afraid to ask for help. Whether it's friends, family, or strangers on the internet, support matters. Talking it out saved me more times than I can count. So, for anyone out there stuck in a messy relationship, here's my advice. Trust your gut. Don't tolerate disrespect or lies. Protect your mental health. And remember, you deserve honesty and love, not some cryptic smile hiding 1,000 secrets. Thanks for reading my story. If you're going through something similar, you're not alone. Keep your head up.